Michigan looks the part of being the number one team in the country in their first go-around. First go-around is the number one team in the country this year, and Michigan comes up big on the road, taking care of Purdue at Mackey with a gigantic first half where they were up 20, and Purdue made a little push in the second half. But this game, not many games, especially against good teams on the road, are over in the first half. This one seemed like it was over in the first half, and in fact, it was. And Michigan wins it 91-80. They win it by 11, and they take a stranglehold on first place in the Big Ten. Big flex, Michigan, their big guns, 6 players in double figures, and everything looking good for the Maize and Blue right now with 5 games left in the regular season, but just 4 in the Big Ten. And they got the big matchup coming up on Saturday, and you got to feel pretty good. Maybe you got to even feel better than pretty good if you're a Michigan basketball fan. Robbie Hummel said it there at the end. I mean, the game took a long time there at the end with Purdue trying to hang on and foul and everything else. But, you know, Robbie saying what a lot of Michigan fans were thinking in the first half, maybe saying it in the first half, texting it in the first half. No reason Michigan can't win the national championship this year. And you just start thinking about it. You start thinking about the Big Ten regular season. You start thinking about the NCAA tournament and being a 1 seed, maybe the number 1 overall seed. But, you know, they got work to do with Purdue, and they still have a very tough schedule. We're going to get to all of that. It's great to be with you here. We're here after every Michigan basketball game, and it's a pleasure to be here. This year it's been a lot of fun, obviously, with the way Michigan has been playing. And it was just a great first half. Michigan came out, and you hear, if you know, we all sit around, you know, your fans, you're talking to your friends, and what you want from Michigan is, you know, work the ball inside out. We all say it. Don't, you know, jack up threes. Don't settle for threes. You know, you say all those things, but Michigan, they were pouring in the threes in the first half, and it was everybody, you know, knocking them down. Meanwhile, Purdue, they missed a lot of easy ones in the first half, and the tempo. Purdue does not have as strong of a bench as Michigan, and it was a track meet. And you just had a feeling that Michigan, eventually, you know, like they have done this year. If you watch Michigan, you know they're going to wear the other team down. I'm thinking, you know, Purdue can't stay at this pace, and you know Michigan was able to expand the lead and get it into double figures, and then, you know, they get it up to 20, and, you know, they shut down the Mackey crowd, you know, up 16 at the half. And it's one of those where, you know, they said it on the broadcast that 16, but it could have been a lot more. It was a clinic by Michigan, shooting 50% from the floor, 50% from downtown, filling up 8 threes in the first half. In Yaks, you know, after they dug up that video in the offseason, and, you know, so he had some pressure on himself. He came up big, and Mara, man, he came up huge. Both players had 10 points, but, you know, Mara standing toe-to-toe with TKR the one time, you know, and TKR is a bull in the china shop. There's no doubt. I mean, he forces the action. He's always lowering his shoulder. He's always got his elbows up. He's really a difficult player to go against. And the one time Mara stood there and TKR was doing all of his, you know, elbowing him in the chest, shouldering him in, backing him off, and goes up, and Mara stood up there and swatted him. That was, you know, there've been a lot of nice plays by Chef Mara this year. I love that one in the first half. That was great. That's great defense by Mara. He ended up fouling out in this game, but man, he is a real presence on that back line for Michigan. And then over the Yaks, you know, Yaks, it's nice to see him. He wasn't a shooting slump from downtown. but he's finding it again, and he does so many other things for U of M. He was fabulous. Really, everybody in the first half was fabulous except Cadeau, and then he was great in the second half. So, that's nice. Obviously, when you're thinking about it, and you've got so many different ways to go when you're Dusty May, so many different lineups that you can put out there, and even U of M, when they were looking like they were going to run Purdue off the floor, they went to a challenge, and I watched the challenge like everyone else 4 or 5 times, and I didn't see anything. I kept looking at him like there's nothing there. And then Michigan won the challenge. I got Robbie Hummel saying, it was an unnatural clamp. Well, apparently Clough at the end reaching up and, pulling down Trey, and, they called it. I would have, even if they would have pointed that out, I didn't see it the first 10 times. And then at the end, even when Michigan won it, I was looking at it and I was saying, I don't know, I guess, trying to be objective about it. But great job, by Michigan to be able to win that challenge and keep that one. And it didn't matter. You hear Dusty all the time say he's not calling timeouts because he wants to keep the team with the flow and keep the, gas pedal down, because he knows that Michigan has the numbers. We gave, it was like a 5-minute stoppage, and you're like, okay, man, was that really a good one? But they ended up winning it. So there's really nothing that I'd look at and question from Michigan. They went into Mackey and were able to walk out of there with a double-digit win as the number 1 team in the country. And now we'll go into D.C. and play one of the premier games that you can dial up, taking out number 3 Duke. And you say it doesn't get much better than that. I think you'll hear that. Let's all what do they say? Take a drink every time you hear somebody say it doesn't get any better than that, but it doesn't. It's great. We'll get some of your feedback. Michigan moves to now. It's almost, I had to just take a double look. I've got it written on the screen. I'm like, is that right? Did I write that? Is Michigan 25-1? I think 15-1 in the Big Ten. It continues to be, I wrote, the best start in school history a while back, and I just keep it up there as the best start. It continues to be the best start in school history. This team's putting on a show. And they are taking no prisoners, man. They're taking the belt out. This team looked like they did during that 10-game run when they looked like the most incredible team of all time. They're back to looking like that. They're a buzzsaw. And bring on the Blue Devils. I'm going to go with Yak. You could go with a bunch of different players as player of the game. I mentioned 6 Wolverines getting into double figures, but Yaks with all of the blank Purdue, F them, and everything else, and that's not. Yaks. You see him all the time. That was a video, or he had a couple and everything else, but he's just and it's easy, because we follow Michigan and we see Michigan. He just seems like he's just a fun-loving guy. I don't even think Purdue, I don't even think Purdue, they do. It's like, it's something. It was a little drama for 24 hours, but I'll give Yaks, who played 36 minutes. He did get a knee late when he went in there, did the Euro step, and then dropped off a sweet pass to Trey McKinney. But 13 points, knocked down 3 triples. That was good from him. Couple boards, 7 assists for Yaxel Lindenborg. Also had a steal and 2 blocks. It's always a real stocking stuffer when it comes down to Yaks, and that's why he is the Maize and Blue Review player of the game. How about Michigan here now that it's all looking good? I mean, it's fun to sit back and enjoy it. I sat back Monday. It was one of the things that you wanted to see, that Michigan get to number 1 in the country. You knew they had this tough game on Tuesday, so enjoy it on Monday. Then now they come out and come away with an impressive victory. Now you just sit, and I think you just sit on cloud 9 till Saturday. The number 1 ranked team in the country, 25-1, 15-1 in the Big Ten. Number 1, Ken Palm across the board. Number 1 defense. Number 1 Defense, number 4. Offense, they got a little bit to work on. Number 1 in the net, and they will take on the number 2 team in the NCAA evaluation tool coming up on Saturday night. How about that? The net rankings were just put out yesterday, and Houston, I'm sure, will crash that top 5 coming up as they stay pretty clean there. So there you go. Before we look at the box score, which was a nice thing, it'll be a nice thing to go through. Let's go ahead and get some of the feedback that is in here. MGO Blue says another ho-hum Michigan victory. Ho-hum taking on a top 10 team on the road, a team that beat Michigan by 40 last year. I know it's a completely different team, but the Purdue side isn't completely different, and that was pretty impressive. YouTube wants to talk about the clinching game based on games back and tiebreakers. Well, I mean, there's still, when you have 4 games to go and you're playing Illinois, who's in there, and you're playing Michigan State, so we're looking for magic numbers. Maybe somebody want to cook that up for us off the top of my head. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that for you, YouTube. Sorry about that. They're in great position. They have got a 3-game lead with 4 to go. So how about that? BK, they're really locked in. Here's somebody that doesn't like the refs. We'll just put that down there every game. Dirge liked the way they were kicking ass. Here's a referee guy again jumping in. Yeah, I don't obsess about the referees. If you do, you end up in a great victory like this, being like you, Tominator. Just turn the page on the refs. Don't worry about it. Who cares? You want to say, Purdue was getting a favorable whistle the whole time, blah, blah, blah. Go somewhere else with that. No, I don't care about that. Sometimes the refs matter. You carrying on about them, for me, it's not happening. Take it somewhere else. Thomas liked the game. Strong game. Love it. Vi says Dusty is smart. He had a big lead and let TKR do his thing. Didn't double down to allow for kick-out threes to get them back in the game. I agree with that. I thought, Dusty in the first half, Kaufman-Wren, he gets that. He gets it right at about anywhere in the lane or where the free throw is, and he just has that little right, the little push shot. He can go with the left, he can go with the right, and it's just he's probably 80, 90% when he does it, and yet they just were leaving him open, and then he was starting to miss some, and I think it got in his head a little bit. He was missing a lot of layups. He did go off. He ended up with 27, and there wasn't a lot of doubling from Michigan, and they weren't extending out on TKR. Good point about you hear it sometimes. Just let that guy get his and stop everyone else. I think they were just thinking, who cares? We got a big lead. I don't think they were thinking, who cares? They're thinking, let's 2 for you, 3 for us. Kind of the way it felt. Then he started missing some. Then it was like, make one, miss one. We make 3, double figures. And when you're up double figures, go ahead, keep going. Shout out to Elliot Cadeau. Cadeau was one of those guys who did not have a great first half, and yet in the end leads Michigan with 17 points. And also has 7 assists, 17 points in Cadeau at the half had 3 points. So how about that? 14 in the second half for Michigan's point guard. Hopefully he'll be okay. It looked like it. Took a shot to the face or the head. They kept him in there, so I'm thinking that he's going to be okay. But for, 5 seconds, I was thinking, oh, no. Thomas says point guard play was amazing. Yeah, well, he's getting his props now. When you're the number 1 team in the country, everybody's going to look and say, wow, why are they so good and everything else? And yeah, you go to the 5, you go to the front line of Michigan, Cadeau with 14 in the second half, and LJ Kaysen, he has emerged as the best backup point guard in the country. And 18 minutes, 13 points, knocked that three down. Elliot Cadeau, he is the best backup point guard in the country, but he's not a very good passer. He's a below average passer. He's been a better than expected shooter, and he can take anyone in the country at any time off the dribble and take it to the hole on him. And he can also stop, and like he did in the second half, and throw a floater up there. He drives as well as anyone in the country. You give him the ball, and there's not, every team doesn't have somebody that you can just say, go get us a bucket. Just give him the ball and go. That's the kind of player Kaysen is, and that's a great thing to have. He comes in, and you better move your feet if you're the defense, because he's going to take you and he's going to put you on his hip and he's going to take it to the hole on you. And so he's going to draw some fouls, and he has been Michigan's most improved player, and he has been a revelation. And he right now, there's no drop off when he comes in. He's, if it wasn't for Trey McKinney, you would say, hey, he's there. And that's another thing. You're getting McKinney. It's a 1-2 punch. Kaysen, McKinney, these guys are coming in. There's no let up. And in fact, you just continue to, you're putting, for all those years, these past couple of years, everybody's talking about Michigan State and Ohio State, about the hammer coming. This is the hammer. It's the Michigan basketball team. They're taking the hammer to all of these teams. That's the hammer. Don't get the dusty smoke from other coaches. Everyone hates a winner. I did not see that tonight. I didn't see a blow-by handshake from Painter. Painter's pretty even-keel guy. I get it from the bald Tom Izzo. Cronin, he's sour because he lost Mara, and Mara is this great player for Michigan. That tends to make you a little sour. Izzo's Izzo, so of course when Izzo's winning, he's Mr. Congeniality. When he loses, he's a prick. He's always been that way, and he always will be. So that's where that comes from. Dusty's got a good relationship with Brad Underwood. Michigan fans hate Underwood. You understand that? But Dusty likes Underwood. Dusty's always giving props to Matt Painter. I actually didn't see Dusty and Painter. I didn't see if it was actually a blow-by. I need to zero in on the handshake line. Everybody always is checking that out. But I did catch a glimpse of it, and I saw Dusty putting his off hand on some of the assistants and shaking their hands. So it also... So I'm assuming, which probably isn't a very good thing to do. That's right, Motown. Kaysen coming into his own. I agree with that. Over on the Maize and Blue Review, just last week, or maybe it was the week before, you do this. You look ahead, next season with all the players that could go, and people were saying, well, Kaysen's he's not a starting guard. And there were some people were saying, I don't know, maybe. And now that he's played like he has the last 3 or 4 games, I think there's a lot of people saying, he could definitely be a starting guard for Michigan next year, starting point guard. The BBW says everyone who played contributed to this win in some way. Agreed on that. If Cheddar came in, knocked down his 3 immediately, Gale, does some things, but they're working on Gale. Yeah, exactly. VK. I like that. Cheddar comes in, bang, hits it, then you don't see him anymore. Rock City says the Peacock announcers are the freaking worst. They hate U of M every damn game. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. I think Robbie Hummel's one of the best color analysts in college basketball. He's a Purdue grad. I thought he did nothing but give Michigan props the entire night. So you and I were listening to a different game. But I'll give you this. You and the other guy who, if you obsess about every single thing that's said, and if it's a little bit against your team or if it's for the other team, suddenly you're like, I hate these guys. Same thing with the refs. If you obsess about the announcers and if you obsess about the refs, it ruins the game for you. But, some people are obsessed about those two things. I can't do anything. Sometimes it's true, but you're totally barking up the wrong tree here, Rock City, at least in my estimation. Like I said, I think Hummel's the best. I don't know, the play-by-play guy, he's not serving it up for Purdue. Does he want to see the Boilers, even when they're down double figures and with 8 minutes, try to get people to hang on, saying, hey, Purdue's hanging in there? Does that upset you? I don't know. If it upsets you, I can't do anything about that. But there was nothing to get upset about with the announcers or the officials tonight. Kaysen is a dog, a great shooter, great finisher at the rim. Yes, I think those three things are all correct. A dog is what, you like a dog. And he has been an excellent shooter, and he is a tremendous finisher. I'm with you on that. Sambo, great win on the road. There's another one with the officials. Sambo going with one of our rivals and saying that he picked us to lose. Yeah, well, go to his stream and, talk to him. Maybe he'll complain about the officials there. He's always got a little bit of CB, he'll entertain your thoughts on complaining about the refs or the broadcasters. Throw some Izzo in there too. That's one of his favorite things. Stepped on the defender's shoe, not knee to knee. I think he did both. I mean, I saw it. Go look at it again, Rob. He was tying his shoe afterwards, but their knees, he might not ended up hurting his knee, but he definitely looked like he went knee to me. So I'm going to have to disagree. I guess I'm disagreeing with everybody tonight. Purdue had the belt popping. Yeah. There's more on take those officials and get somewhere else. Go Blue. There's Go Blue from Ty Lord. You guys are too obsessed about the officials. Stop it. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of advice here. What you do is, before the ball goes up, when you're on the road, you're going to get about 5-6 calls that are going to go against you, and they're going to be maddening. So when they happen, you just say, hey, hopefully this doesn't hurt you. Hopefully this stuff evens out when, Michigan's at home. If you take the long view of it, what will happen is that bad calls, there's going to be 10. And yeah, the home team's probably going to get a couple more because that's the way it works. That's the way human nature is. Think about these guys that are human, that have the whistles stuffed in their mouth. And you think, hey, that'll even up. But when you're up double figures, complaining or getting irritated about the refs, I don't know. It's pointless. You'll have a lot more fun with the game if you're just enjoying your team and what they're doing. Maybe you can do both. Maybe you can oh, what a great play. Oh, but I hate the refs. But that's all I'm saying about the refs. I'll leave that for you. That's my point for tonight. Cadeau and Kaysen are both on a roll. Well, there's one thing that everybody could agree on, that Michigan has the best front court in the country, and they're the deepest team in the country. So getting the point guard play that they're now getting puts them in the driver's seat. That's why you can start talking about the Natty. They're in the driver's seat. They're the number one team in the country, and they're firing on all cylinders. Well, look at that upcoming schedule. Okay. Let's look at that box score before we check the upcoming schedule. Let's see if we can do that right now. We can. There we go. That's a fun thing to do. There's Cadeau. 14 of his 17 in the second half. 4 boards, 7 assists, had a steal and a block. 3 of 5 from downtown. You love that. 6 of 12 from the floor. Great second half by Elliot Cadeau. Yax was our player of the game. He had 13 points, 2 boards, 7 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. MJJ, the leading field goal percentage player in the Big Ten. Mojo, the electrifying Mojo, call it whatever you want. He was just 3 of 7, though, in this game from the field, but 12 points and 11 boards and 2 assists. Who doesn't like MJJ? Yeah, right. Nobody. Everybody loves him. Mara was great. He got in foul trouble. He had all 10 of his points in the first half. He was on his way to maybe his best game in a Michigan uniform. He was impressive, standing toe-to-toe with Kaufman-Wren. Loved his game, board and everything. Huge presence down low. Clough, I was going to say he's no slouch, but he was a slouch in this game. He's a big, he's big and what, there used to be a player way back called Big Country. Clough. Looks like he weighs 400 pounds and he's just all shoulders. 4 points for Big Clough, who couldn't do anything in this game. And Mara was a big reason why. He had a couple swats, 10 points, 11 boards, 2 blocks for Mara. Burnett had one of those threes, his 3 early in this game, 5 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, had a jam. That's 8. Mara, he'll get you 31 one game, give you 5 the next. Trey McKinney's awesome. Speaking of next year, Trey McKinney, I could see him averaging 19 a game. 13 tonight. He's got an array of moves. He's smooth. Leave him open. It's going up. He'll post you up. He'll go from right to left and then use that right hand off the glass. He's smooth. Like I said, knocks everything down. 3 of 4 from downtown, 2 of 2 from the stripe. 21 minutes. No turnovers. Typical Trey. LJ, we already went over the best backup point guard in the country, 13 points, a board, and 2 feeds. Was money at the charity stripe. Hey, shoot more if you want. Kaysen, man, from downtown, 1 of 1, 3 of 3. He could have heat checked himself a couple times and went and got him a couple more. Did have a couple turnovers. And Gale made a couple plays in the first half, and then Cheddar came in his 7 minutes and got that triple right off the bat, and that was nice for Cheddar. My favorite, Will Cheddar. Give me 10 Cheddars. Let's do it. All right, let's check the upcoming schedule. It's brought to you by the Maize and Blue Review. Hey, you want more Michigan basketball coverage? You want to talk about it all the time? Well, why not do that? And the way you do that, you're asking, is by subscribing to the Maize and Blue Review. I'm on there all day and all night. And for some people that are watching this and saying, wow, you're being mean to the people that are spending the time to watch this, disagreeing with them about the refs when clearly everybody's saying it. Why not realize that you're wrong? Look, you go to the Maize and Blue Review, you go to the live thread. Everybody's complaining about the refs on there too. So, you get the like-minded folks when you get there on the Maize and Blue Review, talking about Michigan basketball all day, all night. Also looking at the football team, which always seems to have, not always seems to, they always have something going on. Now they're cleaning the front office, new GM, who's coming in, new recruit, all these guys. Like I said, they're proving out the front office and bringing all new guys in. So lots to look at, lots to speculate on, and lots to talk about when it comes down to Michigan football. And there's, spring rapidly approaching, and you got a new defensive tackle coach, and you got some news and notes on the team constantly being out there. And, Michigan football never takes a day off. And you're a fan, as much as you love the basketball team, you love the football team like 20 times more, it seems like. So go to on3.com and hit that button, the Maize and Blue Review. I'd love to see you over there. And with that, here is the schedule. Michigan with those 5 games left now. The next one coming up against Duke on Saturday. And, you got Cameron Boozer. And then you've got the other Boozer.
Overrated.
And, you've got this whole team And then Minnesota. Look at all these fired at Illinois, at Iowa. We're only sitting here with 2 games left in this month in the Big Ten. And then you're flipping the calendar. And that last game against Michigan State, Michigan may already have clinched the Big Ten outright. We'll see. Maybe they'll need it for the outright title. Maybe they'll need it just to sweep and have momentum going into the Big Ten tournament, thinking about, they're going to have the double bye. They're going to have the number 1 seed. And I think we can I don't think we can talk about not only the regular season, but also doing the double-double and also trying to secure the number 1 overall seed. All of that on the table and all of that looking good for Michigan right now. All right, let's hit some more feedback going through this. TKR was pushing the defender each time he was screened, full body screen. Yeah, you must not have watched Purdue or Kaufman-Renn. That's the way he plays. Sambo's never watched him because he's complaining about him throwing his off arm, clearing out space. Refs let him do whatever. MJJ gets hit in the face, smacked in the arm. It's ridiculous and needs to be addressed. Maybe if you guys address like, but one time MJJ got away with a moonwalk in the lane, so some of that stuff evened out. TKR, that's the way he plays. So I don't know. Maybe you guys, look, go watch Purdue's next game. That's what he's going to be doing. So that's it. I don't know what you're talking about there. Too many weapons. Michigan scores from every position. Purdue had about 2-3 guys that could score. Yeah, Purdue couldn't hit any threes. When you got old Lawyer out there heaving up air balls from 30 feet, that's pretty deflating. And I like to see it, with Lawyer. And Braden Smith had a huge second half, but he was a big 0 in the first half. So, and that's where Michigan won the game. What's this? All right. Yes, you would love to beat Duke.
Overrated.
There was not a blow-by handshake tonight. Rob, hey, look we can agree on that. Gale, too many turnovers. That's for sure. Look, if we want to focus on Michigan had 6 guys in double figures. I didn't come out and say everybody played great because that wasn't true. Gale, didn't play great, but Gale, I'll predict, I've been predicting this all year long. It hasn't happened yet. I'll predict that Gale will win Michigan a game. I also will predict that Cheddar will win Michigan a game, or they'll be like the stars of the game. And neither of those guys have been a star of the game yet. They've contributed, here and there. But there's no reason to be down on Gale. There's another thing. It's not, you say, get him out. He's part of the rotation that's going to wear down the other team. It is something when you're the coach, you do have to figure out when to limit his minutes. And what are we talking about tonight? 17 minutes? Would I rather see Roddy Gale play 11 minutes rather than 17 right now? Yes, I would. I thought with Cheddar, Cheddar 6 minutes. I think Gale and Cheddar, get those guys about 10 minutes. More Kaysen, more McKinney. McKinney had 21 minutes. So there you go. Cadeau with 34. I guess I wasn't thinking about it. I don't really know what I don't know. Win the Duke game and the number 1 overall seed should be a lock. Well, let's see. They're the number 1 team right now. They beat Duke. They come back. Well, yeah, are they going to fall flat on their face? It looks that way. I would agree with that. Don says Duke is the gold standard of college basketball. This year's team is one of their best. Big game. Big game. There it is. Take a drink. I'm with you. It's a huge game. BK's, there you go. Thinks Robbie Hummel's fair. Not biased. It's so fitting that Stallions is tweeting about hating Hummel and Dennis likes Hummel. Well, Stallions is a egomaniac, that's obsessed with himself. So I don't know, whatever you want to do. Rock City is saying, I'm wrong. You truly was looking at the wrong game. Just making a comment. That's all good, man. Most people are going to agree with you, Rock City, when it comes down to the officials. And that I was just trying to give you a little, sage advice. Most of the people here now, I can say, they're going to be younger than me. So with all of my years of watching, what I've been able to do to enjoy the game, I look at, the entertainment value. I love basketball. And it's such a beautiful game, especially when you have a team playing the right way. I mean, it's just it's poetry in motion. It's great. And when I see people that get obsessed about one player at the end of the bench or the officials, or what was the other thing, or the announcers, people do get obsessed about those things. And, I get it. So I just make my comments. I'm glad you're still here. And, you're probably, we got like I said, a lot of people agree with you. It's like that. The Purdue fans were probably saying, Robbie's our guy and he's sucking up to Michigan. But it's like that everywhere. If you put yourself, but nobody wants to put themselves in another fan's shoes. Every fan base that watches a game complains about I hate this guy. He's totally biased towards the other team. And you look at the other team, they're saying the same thing. Oh, I don't know. But look, people aren't trying to be objective watching a game. You're just big fans. And fans, you're fanatics. You're not listening to all that. You don't care about all that. You forget about the calls that don't go against you. You obsess about the ones that are against you. It's always like that. Michigan has a hard time stopping other teams' guards, but they did a good job with Purdue's guards tonight, especially during the first half. No doubt about that. No doubt. That's for sure. The flagrant on Clough was a pretty generous call. Yeah, I really didn't see that. So Michigan got that call. You could make a case that was a big. Michigan was rolling at that point, but no, you can never have enough dogs on your team. Rob, looking at Rob. Now you and I we have found something that we both like. I like those KenPom ratings. Michigan has been bumped up from 38.67 to 39.49, higher than Duke's team ended last year. Nice job. Simo. What's up, Simo? Morez didn't have the greatest game. How did Lendeborg play? Did I get it right? Weak calls. If that's what we're going. Vancouver Grizzlies, that's right. Mara was in foul trouble. That's why he wasn't in there. Refs let him play early on. Beat the pretty boys.
Overrated. Pretty boy. A bitch.
Christian Laettner, it all still applies. Triple bye this year, dummy. That's fair. At this point, I think Michigan's going to beat everyone. I would have thought that they would have split these two games, but I think it's a toss-up against Duke. I think they could beat Duke. I think they'll beat Minnesota. Here's the thing. Are they going to win all of these games? Probably not. So the ones that they're going to most likely lose are going to be, at this point, a true road game at Illinois and Duke. Those are the two toughest. I'll say the true road game at Illinois. And then Michigan State, then another road game against Iowa. There's 4. And then you got Minnesota. So I would say they would likely lose either to Duke or Illinois, but they easily could beat both of those games. I didn't think that I actually predicted them to win at Michigan State. And not a lot. They weren't playing their best, and most people were not picking them to win at Michigan State. They never win at Michigan State. They weren't really playing well, and so most folks were putting that down as an L. There were some folks looking at this one tonight. This was, it's a true road game, tough one. Purdue sitting there, and Michigan. Let's face the facts. They cleaned their clocks. When you're playing like they are right now, and you're a buzzsaw, you can beat anyone. That was a big flex tonight, how they played. So let's say yes. Ooh. A triple crown. Big Ten tourney, Natty. I like it. Thanks, Vi. Even though I didn't come up with the triple bye. Brian liked Gale's defense. Big guys wear down faster than little guys, relatively, saving Mara. Yeah, and he had 4 fouls. There we go. Do you think, this is always an interesting one, do you think this team would benefit from one more loss before the big dance starts in March? I'm going to say no. If they were undefeated, would I say that, because there'd be so much pressure on them? Oh, undefeated, 76 Indiana. You remember a few Kentucky a couple years ago, and then Wisconsin beat them. So much pressure. Everybody talking about them. Number 1 now. I don't think so. I'm not. Look at. There are folks who, when they get to the Big Ten tournament, will be like, hopefully they lose, so they'll be rested. I don't buy that one either. I don't buy if somebody gets hurt or something, you can always change your mind. But as I look at things right now, I'm not thinking loss will be good to refocus them for the Big Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament. They seem pretty focused to me, and they're playing like they did out in Vegas. So do I want to have them get tripped up like they did almost at Penn State, or lose to Minnesota at home, which I would be close to tat them out, even though Minnesota is not as good as Wisconsin, especially as Wisconsin's been playing now, and that's going to sharpen them up. Now, I'm not going to buy that. And then it's the same thing. There, people don't really care about the Big Ten tournament. I care about the Big Ten tournament. I love the Big Ten tournament. I love conference tournaments. I would love to see Michigan do the double-double. No, everything I get that you just are thinking about the Natty, and there's going to be people that be like, yeah, it's just going to be better off resting. I'm not buying that. I want this team to compete. I want them to go out and win everything. They've got the club. They're deep. Go out there and bring the hammer. Show everybody where the hammer is. Do you think, Sambo, it would benefit him? Celebrating with pot pie. Gonna break out some Coke Classic. Cane sugar. Mexican Coke. Cartel Coke. If they beat Duke in that exhibition later this week. Yeah. The non-conference game that Smash likes to call the exhibition game that everyone in the world is going to be watching and everybody cares about. So there you go. Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Good coaching this year. Players buying in. Very deep. Number 1. tough road. LJ Kaysen can take over a game. It's all there. Yeah. Programming note. I am leaving. I will not be on the post game. This is a little bit disappointing for me how everything is going, but I've got a good reason. I am going to Madison, Wisconsin on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we'll be back on Sunday. I am going to broadcast as a color analyst the Michigan hockey team as they take on Wisconsin, the number 2 Michigan hockey team. Great atmosphere, great hockey. There's so much going on. Look, if I was sitting home, you got the Olympics with the USA, all about that. Of course, Michigan basketball and Michigan hockey. So it's a great honor for me to be able to go and be the color analyst. Is there a part of me that when that happened that I looked and I was hoping that Michigan was going to not be playing on that Saturday and we're going to be playing on a Sunday and I'd be making it home so I could broadcast afterwards? Absolutely. I'd love to be there for it, but if their games, the puck drops and the ball goes up in DC at the same time. So I will DVR it. I will say, follow the Maize and Blue review, because when I get home on Sunday, I will be watching that game and I could just come on at, I don't know actually when I am going to watch it, but I could do a post game on Sunday for the thrilling game against Duke. So if I say follow, subscribe to the Maize and Blue review of this particular podcast, because when we do go live, it sends you a notice. So you might just be sitting back thinking, there's not, like, whoa. They're going live. So look for that. Also look for us tomorrow as we'll be here. We'll see how we feel about Michigan, both on the football side, basketball side, and on the ice, coming up tomorrow at 2:00. Michigan wins this game 91-80. They win it like they were winning it out in Vegas. They put their foot on them in the first half, and this game was won in the first half. That has not happened. That does not usually happen. It doesn't happen on the road, but it is happening now. Michigan looks like the number 1 team. They are the number 1 team, and they will be taking on the number 3 team coming up on Saturday. We'll see you over on the Maize and Blue review. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.